let's get this. Welcome to this webinar tonight. We are looking at all things Club Portal. That includes player registration, affiliation, and a little bit more. Before we start, can we just ask that if you have any questions at all, please do put them in the chat. We have people in there working their socks off, ready to answer any questions that you might have. And we will have a couple of breaks within the session to answer some of them online as well. So in terms of a verbal update, so please do that. If I can ask as well that you remain on silent, or at least your microphone muted for the session, just to reduce the background noise. We've got a lot of content to get through today. And the less interruptions we can have, hopefully we'll get through very quickly, well, at least within the hour that we'd set aside. So if I can, just please ask if you can keep your mic muted and use the chat for any questions that you may have. So in terms of the session today, what we're going to run through, we're going to go through an introduction to Club Portal. We're going to go through affiliation, player registration, and then where you can find further support and more guidance. One thing I will say is as well, there's a lot of demonstrations in this video, but don't think it's your one and only time to see this in action. The recording will be available on YouTube. I'll explain later where you can find it. And I think as well, your meeting invite will change to a recording should you wish to come back to it at a later date. So don't worry about that. But Claire's going to be doing the majority of work on that. And speaking of Claire tonight, we do have a few people on the call. So just to introduce a couple, my name's Sam Yates. I'm the digital engagement lead here at the FA. I am joined, we've really got a treat tonight with Claire Davidson. She's the font of all knowledge on pretty much all FA systems, and she's got the fun part actually. She's the one demonstrating the systems tonight for you. So you are in for a treat. You'll go away knowing more than at least I do. We also have in the chat, we've got a dynamic trio in the chat of John, Anisha and Andy, and they're there to help and answer any questions that you may have, and they will do that as quickly as they possibly can. I have heard that they are the fastest responders in the West, so we shall see on that front. But yes, we are quite well attended tonight, so if you do have any questions, please do ask them. Just put them in the chat. We will answer them in there. We won't have the opportunity for people to come on the call and ask questions just for the sake of time, because there's a lot to get through tonight. So that being said, we'll crack on and we'll start with an introduction to Club Portal. So for those who don't know, Club Portal has been around for a couple of years now, 3 or 4 years now, and its main goal is to replace the retiring whole game system. So for those who've been around a while, or for those who are coming into this for the first time and maybe use whole game system for discipline, whole game system is very old and it's on old technology and needs to disappear. So what we are replacing it with is modern technology, one that's built for the future and not just for the now. And that is, if for a club especially, is in the Club Portal. We do have competitions portal, we do have referee portal that was coming along the line as well. Everyone has their own portals, but they are slowly coming out there to replace whole game system. Now, in terms of what is available currently in Clubs Portal is the safeguarding stuff, the affiliation, the player registration and accreditation. We're not going to touch on accreditation today because that's much further into the season that becomes a process for you to follow. But in terms of safeguarding, affiliation and player registration, we will cover those tonight. And I say Claire is the one who's going to take you through all that. But if you've not been on before, to access it, it's clubs.thefa.com. Hopefully that is fairly memorable and you can save that as a bookmark going forwards if you need to. So we're going to start off with the safeguarding stuff, and I'm only going to briefly talk over them. Claire's going to do, as I mentioned, the main work of this and actually show you around. But in terms of what's available in the safeguarding tab, which is fairly new this season, we've got the ability to add DBS applicants. So if those are people within your club, especially in the youth game, who are starting their either first or renewal of a DBS application, starting it within the club portal does mean that their application is stamped with their fan record and is far more likely to go through far quicker than if it was done in any other form, in any other shape or process. Also in the safeguarding tab, we have the ability to monitor safeguarding and other education. So in your club, you might have a few extra rules you want to put in place. I know the club I was just come out of, they wanted at least a base level of first aid for every coach. So again, you can track that within the safeguarding tab, and Claire will show you how to monitor those qualifications, how to access them, but also to see, which is more crucially, those that are about to expire, so that you can also take some proactive action to get those people back through the courses or DBS check, should they need to go through that. So that's the safeguarding tab. And then we have what is fairly new. It started last season, and it opened just a couple of days ago on the 3rd of June, is affiliation. Now, affiliation in the past used to be a paper-based process, and then in whole game it was quite a messy process, a long 8 pages worth of things you had to go through. It took a long time and so put a lot of stress on volunteers. Now, affiliation is an annual process, and it's basically confirming the teams you're going to have for the coming season and any any insurance that needs to go alongside those teams that are going to play in different leagues, different competitions. And we have on the left-hand side here just a bit of a checklist, really, and an order of the quickest way to go through your affiliation process. So starting with you checking your officials and their qualifications, making sure they are in date. For those who hopefully in the adult game should now know, there's a new requirement this season that all open age team officials require the player welfare course. We've already seen 15,000 people go through it since May. I think just before May, or early May at least, and that number is really drastically rising. It's a free course. It's about 40 minutes to half an hour, depending on how quick you are clicking through things. But that is a requirement that's new for the open age game. For youth football, nothing's changed this season. So the affiliation process is the same, requirements are the same. You just need your safeguarding children course and your DBS to be in date. And Claire's going to talk you through how to do all this dead quickly and simply. It is easy now, but you'll add your club and team grounds, accept some safeguarding declarations, sort your teams out, including folding them, creating new ones, and switching leagues if that's the case, which is step 5. And finally is submitting it and going through the payment process to complete your affiliation. So it can all be done on mobile now. It can be done on a desktop. It can be done on a laptop. It can be done on your tablet, whatever device you've got, it will work for you. So that's the affiliation process. And I think what we're going to do now, instead of me talking about the process, is actually go and dive in and see what the actual process entails and how to get through the not just the safeguarding tab, but also the affiliation pages. So I'm going to swiftly hand over to Claire, and she's going to take you through that demonstration.
Nice one, thank you, Sam. I was too busy reading the questions. Let me just share my screen. Great. Okay, so I'm going to start with excuse me, with the affiliation process. So I'm just in one of our test teams, WGSO West. But before we start the affiliation process, Sam mentioned there's a couple of things that we want to look for. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at adopting the safeguarding declarations. So as soon as you go into your portal, you take into your My Club tab. You've got your documentation and along your various documents, but you need to look at the safeguarding declarations here. So if you've got youth teams within your club, then you'll see youth football. If you've also got open-aged football, then you'll have 2 declarations to accept in here. Now, to do this, you can see I've already accepted one this morning. To do it, click accept. You must view it. So that'll open, just open a PDF document. Shouldn't take too long. It always takes a little bit longer on here when you're sharing your screen. So just please bear with us. Best laid plans, there we go. So the document will open, read the document. Once you're happy, you can just come out of there and accept. And this will mark on here exactly when the document has been accepted. So in order to start your affiliation, you need to view and accept your safeguarding declarations. While we're on the My Club tab, we'll also look at team grounds. and club grounds. So you can see here in the grounds, we've got Wembley Stadium already set up in there. So that's me set up as my club ground, and I've got several team grounds, several teams attached to that ground within here, but you can see I've got 3 that aren't. It might be that they don't play at Wembley Stadium, they play somewhere else. So if I go back to club grounds, I can go and look in Pitch Finder. If I just look in Wembley, search for that, it should bring me up all the grounds within Wembley. Let's have a look. So should be, yeah, let's just have a look at King Edward Park there. So I can select the site, brought the information up there. If I go to my teams, so I've got 3 teams who don't have a ground there, and I can go and bulk assign that ground and say that they all play at King Edward Park. So the first thing that I would recommend you do when you're looking at your affiliation, just double check that all of your teams have the right grounds. It makes it much easier for your leagues, particularly if they're using the FA full time. So that's nice and easy for them. So we've got our ground information in there. The next thing I'm going to look at is the teams themselves. So you can see I've got a list of 9 teams here. You know, you might be one team club, you could be a club with, you know, they've got up to 96 teams. Obviously, it depends massively. So you can see down the right hand side here, we've got team requirements. So these are the requirements you need to fulfill in order to affiliate. Most of them have got ticks here. However, you can see there's a couple that have got exclamation marks next to them. So it's telling me that one of the officials doesn't have the correct qualifications. So if I click on here, I can see that this team coach, Guy Allen, doesn't have a DBS, or sorry, his DBS is expiring, so it would let us use that, but he doesn't have the safeguarding children training. Either we need to send him out a reminder to say, look, you need to look at your qualifications, or in this instance, Guy Allen doesn't coach for this team anymore. He's moved to an adult team. So I can just go to my officials and I can remove Guy Allen from there. Remove that team role. So now if I go back to the teams, qualification is fine. Just talking about the qualifications in here, within the officials tab, you can see you've got a list of all your officials here, your key officials. So those are your secretary, chairman, treasurer and welfare officers, and the information on the qualifications that they hold. However, you have got a safeguarding and qualifications tab on here now. Excellent. It makes it so much easier for everyone than having to dip in and out the whole game system as you used to have to do. And you can see here we've got a key. It tells you when qualifications have expired or are about to expire. And again, it's nice and clear cut. It tells you where qualifications missing and is requiring action, etc. There's lots of filters on here. So you can just look at the ones that are requiring action, so you can go out to those and encourage, whether it's a team official or a club official, to go out and get the qualifications that they need. I'm just going to go back into my teams now. So where was I? So we've got that information there. I've got. I'm having a look on here, and it might be that I want to create a new team. I've got a missing team in there, so I can go and create a brand new team. So do they want to play football, futsal? We'll just go with the football. I'll go open age, non-disability. So what format do they want to play? 11-11 open age, and we'll play on a Sunday. We'll have a female team. And what do I want to call them? Let's call them Galaxies. So I'll just create my team. So it tells us here, once you've created the team, you need to go and put your officials in there and your ground information. So I'll just jump straight to an official. I can go and add an official who's already with the club. So I can pick somebody who's already there, or I can go and add a brand new official. I'm just going to add myself. So you can either search by name or fan. I happen to know my fan and date of birth, so I just search for myself. So there's my record. Add myself to the club. What's my role? I'm a team manager, and I can confirm that. So if I go back to the listing now, it shows that I'm listed as a team manager and I have the correct qualifications for that role. If I go back to teams, you can see with the Galaxies now, you've got the relevant official, you've got a team manager in there, they've got the correct qualifications, and I just need to add a ground. Go and edit that, play at Wembley, just confirm that. So that team is now all ticks and can be affiliated. I'll jump now into the affiliation. Oh, one more thing before I do move on. What we also need to check is that the team has been added to the correct league. So if the team plays in the league, obviously not everybody does, but if that team plays in a league, you have the option here to go and manage your leagues. So I can see here, it gives me a list of my teams and if they're in a league or if they're not, and I can just select the ones that aren't. It tells you here only teams without registered players can be assigned or removed from a league. For obvious reasons, obviously we can't just cancel registrations unless we've got the permission of the league to do so. And players or teams can't, when they're under 5 or under 6, can't be assigned to a league. But in this instance, age group's fine. I'm just going to assign them to a league. I know that they're playing the WGSO Super League. And it's telling me here in accordance, if you withdraw a club from a league or you're adding them, that the competition organisers have been notified. You can't just, put yourself in any kind of league and hope that they'll accept you. You've obviously had to have conversations with the league prior to that. So now all of my teams that I want to are in a league. So I'm going to go ahead and start affiliating. You've got to, within the Teams tab again, you've got an affiliate teams. So make sure you've updated your teams data, just basic reminder. And don't forget to undo county cups when it comes to the correct section. Apply for affiliation. Feel free to read this at your leisure as you're going through, but I'm just going to continue through. I've seen it once or twice. You will, if any details are missing, these will come up in red here and allow you to go back and update, so you can go back and forward quite easily within your affiliation form. But I've checked all my details and I'm happy with them, so just click on next. It's asking me which teams that I want to affiliate. It will not let me affiliate any teams that I'm missing information for. So, I mean, it tells us here, beg your pardon, I didn't mean to press that, but it's telling me here that I haven't got league, I'm assuming league details. No, I'm missing a safeguarding qualification here, player welfare course. So I beg your pardon, I'm just going to go back to my affiliation. There's a button at the bottom, takes me back in there. So it's selected all of the teams that are ready to affiliate. I click in and select next. Do I want to purchase club insurance from my county FA, or if the county FA allow you can upload your own club insurance. I'm just going to purchase it from my FA in this instance, so I can select which cover I want. I don't want to generate an invoice, so I'm just going to go for free. Sadly, your county FA won't allow you to purchase free insurance from them. It also allows you to look at the insurance stocks at this stage, so you can go through and have a look at which insurance would suit you best. Click on next. Then I can purchase my team insurance. And again, it gives me the option here to view my insurance documents. So it's telling us how many insurance documents for each category, for each age category. So this one's only got one, so it's automatically selected it. If I go and look at under 17s, it gives me an option for personal accident. So I can select that. So I've selected the insurance for all of the, I went there and selected it for eligible teams. So it's automatically put that insurance against each of the teams that were eligible to receive that. And there's no insurance required for the small-sided. Click on next. It's telling us to review my application. So do I want to purchase any other products? A lot of county FAs have benevolent funding there if I wanted to buy any footballs or anything like that. And it will give you a summary of exactly how much that will cost. I submit that application. And that it will either, I'll just talk through this as we're going through it. So in the majority of cases, this will automatically take you through to the payments page. You can pay that and it will go through automatically. In some instances, and Sam, I'm going to have to pick on your knowledge here, in some instances, it will go back to the county FA. Now, one of them is if there's any outstanding debt. So, you know, if you've got an old discipline invoice or a recent discipline invoice that hasn't been paid, then that will automatically go to your county FA. They'll review it and either come back to you. And the second one is if you have uploaded your own insurance documents, that will automatically go to the county so they can check them, make sure you've got the relevant cover, appropriate cover. And is there a third one, Sam? I don't think there is. There used to be.
Just the two.
Just the two. Excellent. So in the majority of cases, this will automatically go to your county FA, will automatically affiliate, no intervention from the county FA, and that will be the case. Now, there is one or two counties who ask for extra requirements. So if you're, you know, from that county, they will be in touch with you to say you've got additional criteria to cover before you actually affiliate with them. But if you haven't heard from the county FA, then that is you affiliated. I'm going to give up on this. This is our test system, as I mentioned before. So I'm going to exit this application, but I hope you can see now that I hope you can see that the affiliation now is nice and simple. And I'm going to go back to you, Sam, and I'll see on my page, see if there's any questions or anything anybody wants us to go through.
Super, thank you, Claire. I think there is one, but I'm going to save that till last, and then you can demo it going into your next demo. I think that's going to work best for you. But I'll give your voice a rest a second and answer a couple of questions, but then I will come to you just for a couple of questions, if that's all right. So the first one was from Luke, saying that when he's got 16 or 17-year-olds added to a open age team, it's now flagging that they require a DBS to affiliate. Now, that's not necessarily true. They don't need it to affiliate, but you will require it. So if once your players are registered and they are 16 or 17 years old, the team manager, team coach, all the people assigned to that team who have contact with a youth player will require to have a DBS and the player welfare course. They're the two that are required for open age, where you've got youth players around. If you've got no youth players, it's just a player welfare course. But for those who have 16 or 17-year-olds registered, obviously that's not now at affiliation, so it shouldn't be flagging up now. But once the season gets going, the club portal will flag to you where you have a 16, 17-year-old added to your team, that the team officials will require a DBS. Otherwise, it's just a player welfare course. The next question from Jamie was around about changing the name of the club. And to do that, you just need to contact your county FA. They'll just double check it doesn't exist anywhere else, and they will update that for you. Obviously, there's some vetting involved as well to make sure that it is appropriate for a club name. So yeah, please contact your county FA and they will sort that for you. We had a question from Susan asking, do we need a new login for Club Portal? No is the answer. All of our systems use the same login system. So once you've logged into one of our portals, you can access them all without having to log in again, because they all share the same login system. One thing you may notice as we start the new season is that you may sometimes be asked to authenticate. So that's basically an extra security system that we're putting in place. One thing that you may have seen in the past, where it'll ask you to maybe select the pictures of where maybe it shows some traffic lights in them, and you have that really high anxiety of, is that traffic light fully in that square yet, or do I select it or not? We're not doing that one. Our authentication is all about your email address. So we'll send you an email with a one-time unique code. You'll put that in, I'll get you in, but your login stays the same for all FA systems, and Matchday is our app as well, so that won't change. Another question from Sarah was, when does affiliation close? Now, when we changed to affiliation in Club Portal, we changed to a more of what we call a 365 model. We understand that there are things like summer football now. We understand that you might get a new team in maybe December, ahead of the spring part of your youth league. So what we don't want to do is cut it off. Now, some of your counties may charge less to affiliate early, but that will be down to your county FA. Your county FA set the prices for affiliation, but in theory, affiliation will never close until we have that little downtime where we switch systems, which is generally the June the 1st to June the 3rd. I've got two for you, Claire. I'll ask you one, and then the second one you can demo after we get through the player reg slide, because it kind of can fit in quite nicely. But we have one from Jamie saying, can you affiliate one team now and the rest later?
Absolutely, yes, you can affiliate. That's the beauty of the new affiliation process. You can do one now and the rest whenever you're ready. So, you know, you're not stopping. One team's not stopping you from affiliating. So yes, please feel free.
Amazing. And the last question, again from Jamie, I can't remember if it's the same, Jamie, apologies. But how easy is it to change key officials during the season?
Very, but yeah, I think I'll demo that for you.
Spot on.
I'll go.
Perfect, thank you. So what I'll do now, I'll move on, and we've got another question slot, don't worry. I know there was lots of questions in the chat that were in regards to player registration. Obviously we'll demo it first. I'll come back to some of those questions, and obviously Claire will demo how to change a key official very quickly. But before I go back into the second demo, in terms of player registration, the things you can do in here is add and create players. So if your players are brand new, they might be 6 years old, 7 years old, joining you for the first time, or they may be coming into the game for the first time at open age. It doesn't matter. You have the ability to create players. If that player already exists in the system will flag that to you and say to you that you need to search for the player instead, and we'll try and advise you to not create the player. What we don't want to have is people having more than one record, and a lot of our processes that are hidden away in the background are there to make sure that only one person has one account within the AFA, for obvious reasons. We have the ability to get consent, so you can, if you do have a process in your club where you maybe send out some application forms or some sign-on forms, you might do it online now as well. You can disclose that you're happy that they've got their consent in terms of an offline version, or at least an out of FA system version. But through the FA systems, you can gain online consent. And basically, if you select all and hit send, that will send all of your players an email and ask them, do you give your consent to play for this club for up to 5 years? So the offline process is seasonal based, it's once a year. The online process is once every 5 years. Now, what that does mean is that a new player, or a player that's given their consent, has the opportunity, whilst there are, during this time now where there are no players registered, to decline their, or at least cut short their consent, and then obviously they can go and sign for a new club if they wanted to. But during the season, whilst they've given their consent and they are registered, they will not be able to just remove it and remove themselves. It's purely at this part of the season where in the FA regulations, every player in grassroots football becomes a free agent. In theory, that still becomes the case. But if I don't want to have to go through the rigmarole of every single year giving my consent or consent on behalf of my child, I can just do it. And especially in kids football, you tend to stay at the same club for a while now. So a parent can give 5-year consent. You can then add and remove your players from teams. So if they're in a team that's maybe folding, you can just assign them to the new team, remove them from the team that's folding. That's perfectly fine. You can, I think that's pretty much everything on that one. But then also you got transfers. So once players start to register, you'll then start to find that more transfers start to kick through. The system will try and talk you through it a little bit to say you need to get, you need to notify the opposition club or the other club to let them know that you're putting in a notice of approach. That's all in the regulations, but the system will try and handhold you through that process. But at this time of year, transfers are few and far between. But as we approach the start of the season, where some players potentially have been playing different people with different cards, you might find that transfers might pop up. That will only be because they've been registered elsewhere. And finally, you can then submit them to your league. And the final thing to call out on player registration is that your league set the requirements. So things like having to have a new photo, having to have certain details, having to have an email address, mobile number, etc., are all controlled by your league. So they have the options, and we've got a call with leagues tomorrow where they can go through, set what they require from you as a club to register a player, and then you as a club can go into your club portal and upload those details, and the club portal will tell you what you need to put in to register a player. So it's not as if you're blind, but if you're in any doubts as to what information is required, how old the photo needs to be, etc., please speak to your league. But that is probably far more than enough of me talking. I'm going to hand straight back to Claire. She's going to now talk you through how to simply replace a key official at any point in the season, and then through the player registration process.
Thanks again, Sam. I'm just looking through these questions in the chat again. You're doing a top job, guys. Thank you. Okay, so I'll start with this key official. Let me just get rid of that. Right, key officials, swapping the key officials. So within the club portal, you've got your officials tab here, key officials there. You always have to have a key official in there. So you can only switch your officials about. If it's somebody brand new, you can add them in your all officials tab first and then swap them in with your key officials. So key officials, if I've got Hayley Bennett here and she's no longer my club secretary, all I need to do is just change that, confirm, remove Hayley from the club because she's got no other roles other than the secretary within there. So it'll remove her from the club and it will add Phil Barber in there. Incidentally, what it'll do, and I've done this earlier in the day when I was testing it out, will send an email to the person that's been added to the club as an official, and it just say if it's been done in error, please contact the club for any information. So quite useful in that it sends out a notification to that person. So hopefully that answers the question on the club officials, and it will tell you here exactly which officials that you need. If any of them are not in orange, you know, you might have added a new team and therefore you don't have a welfare officer for adult disability. This will highlight in orange, telling you that you need a person in there for that role. So we're switching back onto player registration. So again, within the club portal, you've got your players here. So you can see 3 different tabs. Your all players tab, pending actions. I'm in the wrong team. This is not the one that I want to be in. The wrong club. I want to be in WGSO North. So I'm in the right club now. So let's go to my all players tab. And it gives me a list of 186 players that have been added at one point or other within my club. I've got a list of pending actions in here. So it shows anybody that has been added to a team and it's just waiting to be submitted to the league. So if, as a club, you had all of your players registered last season, a pending action will be created for every single one of those players that was league registered. So you don't have to keep adding them to the team again. If they've had online consent, as Sam mentioned earlier, this will automatically be approved for you, depending on how often your league ask for, or even if they do ask for the ID to be verified, that will be shown in there, and it will also show you quite easily. And if we look at the filters, it'll tell you if you can filter on anything that, you know, people are looking for consent, etc. The final tab is for player email addresses. Now, this is for youth players. We don't hold an email against anybody under the age of 16. So the player email addresses will show any players that need a parent or carer linked, and that parent or carer needs an email address. So you have the option in here to select the player. You can send out an email to the linked email address to get consent and to get verification that they are the parent on there, but I'll show you how to do that very shortly. What I'm going to do now is in my All Players tab, I've got some players here who haven't played for me for quite a while. So let's just take Biffa Bacon as an example. He's no longer playing within my club, and Aaron Bannister don't play within here. So I've selected their records and I want to then detach them from my club. So it just brings up a warning: have you detached the right people? Confirm, and they're removed from the club. You can see it's gone down from 186 to 184. So the first thing I would recommend is you get rid of any players who are no longer with your club. Obviously, this could be a massive task for some clubs if they've got, you know, lots and lots of teams. It could be a big task for somebody with just one team. So, you know, you can share the love, share the burden. You could ask your team managers. They can look at their own teams, or you as a club official could do that on their behalf. Entirely up to you. But you know, it isn't your task and your task alone to do. It might be that you need to add a player to your records. So you've got a couple of options here. So what you can do is, I'll just hopefully send it to me. So claire.davidson.com. So what this does, it'll send me an invite. So if you've got that person's email address, you can go off and send them an invite. Hopefully, if I look in here, yeah. So what this has done, WGSO North has invited me to join their club. Do I want to join it? So I'll get the email. Yes, I want to join it. And it'll take me into the players portal. So what this does, it just gives me a link to your club. So I'll get started. It might ask me to log in, but I've already done this because I'm on the portal. Sam mentioned before, you sign in and you're signed into every portal. So I'm signing in for me. Next step, is this me? Absolutely, yes it is. I can edit my details if I want, if I've changed my email address, changed my postcode or telephone number. So next step, do I want to provide consent? So I'm doing online consent. I mentioned Sam messaged before, this will last for 5 years. Do I need international clearance? I don't, but if I did, I could tick yes, and it will ask me the relevant questions in there. So it covers international clearance. But now I'm just going to submit this to the club. So I've successfully joined WGSO North. So if I come out of that players portal, just going to refresh my screen. And if I now look at my players, hopefully, yeah, gone up to 185. And it's not showing me there. Right, we'll give it a bit and then I'll come back and I will be in there, I promise you. Okay, so we've had a look at inviting the player. You can also, this is really useful and I think underused bit of functionality. You can copy the club invite link, and what that'll do, it'll just take you to that. You can, put it on your social media, send it out in an email, do whatever you like, and it'll just take you back to that players portal. So if people are interested in joining your club, send them the link and they can just get started themselves from there. So I think that's really useful. When I've invited someone and they haven't responded, their name will appear in here, so we'll know that we're not keep re-inviting the same person. Okay, so moving on, we can search for a player within here. So you can either search for them with a minimum of a first name, surname and date of birth, or you can search for them by fan. And I happen to have one. Here's one we made earlier, 63. 7, date of birth, 19th October 1992. So I search for that person and it's found them. So John, who's currently answering questions in the chat, hopefully, it shows his records. It tells us any teams that he's currently involved with, and I can add John as a player to my club. So I want to go ahead and register the player. It'll take us to John's information. So do I want to add him to a team? And it already is listed the teams that John's eligible to play in. So I'm just going to add him to all 3. He's verified his ID, so I can change that name. So I'll just say Sam's looked at his ID and he checked that when they were training on Sunday, and I can confirm that. So when I look back in the records now, at the pending actions, I can say that John Sigsworth is now shown, and he's awaiting an action because we haven't got consent. You can see my record here is now shown, so I've been added to the records and I just need assigned to a team. In fact, let's just do that now. So I can select my record, assign myself to a team. Again, it will only bring the teams that I'm eligible to play for. You can ignore this. This comes up because I'm an administrator for the records. You won't have the show all teams button, so please don't worry if you don't see that on your records. Click next, click assign to the team. I'll just verify my ID because I want to show you that you can submit it to the league. Okay, so I mentioned before, and somebody had a poster saying how easy it was to get online consent. So you've currently got all of your players. You can potentially filter them out, look to see who's, hasn't been put in a team yet. These are all pending. Who hasn't been put in a team, add them to the team, and that will then show in your pending actions. We mentioned filters before. If I just look for somebody who hasn't got consent, so if I can see Jatton there, great, that's the 3 of them. So I found 3 of my players, Jatton, John and Sam, and what I'm going to do is go into my more. It's telling me they haven't got consent, so I'm going to request online consent for those 3 players. Proceeding with online consent, it sends a message to their listed email address, and the player must then accept or reject. So if I confirm that, what that will do is ping a message to those 3 players. Ping a message to those 3 players. So if I look at Sam on here now, you can see it's got that we've requested consent. So we'll see if any of these 3 bother to accept consent within the next minute or so. So you can add your players to your team. Now, within your filters, you can also look at those who are ready to submit to the league. So I've got a number of players here, 9 players who are ready to submit to the league. My record's amongst those. So I can select all 9 players. They're all within a team. Everything's been clarified in here. We've got consent. They've been assigned to a team. They've had the ID verified, and all of the player information, such as, you know, a postcode and email address, is in there. So I can literally just submit that to the league. That's pinged off to the league. And again, let me just, oops. If I look at my pending league registrations, I can see that those records there are the 9 that I've just sent to the league. And all I'm waiting for now is the league to approve it. So if you had players last season in your pending actions, all you need to do is just make sure all the requirements have been fulfilled and submit them off to a league for approval. And that, in a nutshell, is your player registration. What I will show you in your teams column, quite a lot of leagues these days ask for so many registered players by a specified date. You can see here how many players that you've got registered and how many players that you've already got allocated to a team. So you can see here there's only 1 registered, 9 allocated, 8 allocated, etc. So you can track how many players you've got in each team. You can obviously do that on the players tab using your filters, but that's just a little bit easier. Sam mentioned before about transfers. Clearly this is a bit of a dodgy time of the year to be looking at transfers, but if somebody's already registered to another club within the same league, or another team within the same league that you're playing for, it will automatically, the system will recognise that it's a transfer, and it will mark it as so on our records. So that will go to the league. The league will decide whether they want to approve or reject the transfer, and it will come back to you with your player either rejected with a reason or registered on there. I'm going to take a breath, Sam, and you can tell us if I've missed anything, because it's been a while since we've done these sessions.
Thank you. Nailed it. I'm just going to set the screen back off you again, because I don't think I need to demo anymore. But again, I'll give you a pause and I might come back to you just for a couple of questions. Just let me go back to the start here. So we've had quite a few good questions in. Majority of these are player edge related, but I'm going to cover some other ones that have come through as well. So Don was first. Do we have to wait till July to register players, because that's what our league are asking? Your league define when they allow registrations to come through. Some leagues will do it 365. Some leagues will do it on between certain dates. If they opened it now, it would work perfectly fine. If they opened it next week, next month, whatever it might be, whatever works for them, they're happy to do so. But in terms of submitting players through to your league, that is defined by your league. So if you any doubt, just ask them the question. We had a question from Kate. This was more on the county cups. If no county cups are showing, should she speak to the county FA? Yes, your county FA also define when you can try and join a county cup. So they might not have opened them just yet. We have got a little bug hanging around at the moment where any in adult football, any county cup you were in last year, it automatically puts you in and won't let you remove yourself. That's being fixed on Thursday. And also for youth teams, it's showing the year below what you should be registering for. Again, that's being fixed on Thursday. But yes, if there's no county cup showing and you think there should be, please speak to your county FA, because they define when that should show for you. We had a good question from Siobhan around, can someone be the secretary and chair? And although that could be a very hefty job for a volunteer, yes, they can. Some county FAs will restrict the number of key official roles you can have. That is defined by your county, but the system will allow you to be as many of them as you need to be. We are aware that in some cases, one person does do a lot of the roles because they are dedicated, and because no one else will do it, they just pick it up. We know those little heroes out there. So yes, they can be secretary and chair as well. We had a good question from Vicky as well. Do they add photos, like the individual photos, via that player invite? And Claire, I did do the invite, by the way. I accepted it quickly, so it should be showing on your screen by now. I was all over that.
Just checked.
I got there in the end. But yes, they can upload it there, or once they've gone through this process, or at any time actually, go to myaccount.thefa.com and they can upload a brand new photo themselves and not rely on you as a club to upload it. One thing it is worth mentioning here is that all our systems are where they take photos of players, or at least try and upload them, it will, using some artificial intelligence, look for a head and shoulders shot. So if it's not going to be that, if it's someone's, we've had many in the past of bad examples, but things like the whole squad photo in that tiny little circle, obviously you can't see the person there, so that the system will automatically reject a poor photo. It's looking for a head and shoulders shot. Obviously the system doesn't know if that person is that person you are uploading the photo of, but it will make sure at least there's a head and shoulders shot. We had a question from Anne, and it's not a silly question at all, which, how do you get a fan? And the way to get your fan is just to go to myaccount.thefa.com, and you'll have an option there for create an account, and you can create. So, and also if you go through the registration process and you've got a link, a URL where someone can join your club and they don't have a fan, again, they can self-register through that flow. There are several ways, but the best way to create your own account is via myaccount.thefa.com. We had a really good question from the team at Rushton, which was, when adding new players, how can you check the discipline status? And at the moment, this is quite a fragmented process and it's not ideal. We'll happily front that from the off. But basically, at the moment, you can only see players that are suspended. The system will show you that, but you can't see anything else. As discipline comes into the club portal across the next season and into the next season, it'll be all live for next season. You'll have more ability, more options to be able to view that discipline status. Just at this point in time, if you're in any uncertainty, please check with your county FA. They are more than happy to run a little discipline health check for you on a player, especially if you're thinking that you may have maybe played against this player in the past and he headbutted one of your players. You may have a few suspicions and want to run it by your county FA first. They are more than happy to do so. So please use them if you need them. We also had a question from Amy around little kicks. Lots of different variations of name for this, but it's basically pre-affiliated football provision. What we describe it as is called play phase, and you can add a play phase team and it will go through as under 5 and under 6. I know you think you put in the question under 4s as well. Fine, no problem at all. Just define it as a play phase team, which is under 6s. And they will show us training only. Obviously, they cannot play in affiliated fixtures. So that is an option for you. Now, there were all the questions I had in whilst Claire was talking. I am aware that quite a few come in since. One thing I will just cover off, because it came up a few times, is the player welfare requirements for open age football. So just to be as clear as I possibly can, in the open age game, safeguarding children, the paid course does not come into this whatsoever. The only qualification you need in open age football, open age teams, is the player welfare course, just the player welfare course. When you have a 16 or 17-year-old added and registered to that team, that open age team, there is then the requirement for the coaching team, basically, and the medics and anyone else with it, to have an open age is defined as anything over under 18. Thank you, Susan. Which will so be your 19s, 20s, 21s, 23s, open age vets. You will be required to have a DBS if a 16 or 17-year-old is added to your team. Now, that's not for your affiliation. That is purely for when, as soon as it's added, you'll probably get an email from your county FA to say that you now require to have a DBS. We don't have control of this. This is a law. It's the law of the United Kingdom. There's nothing we can do about it. So if you have any questions or you're struggling, again, your county FA DSO, your designated safeguarding officer, is more than happy to help you with this. I've been working with a few of them this week, and the more they can do to help, the better, really. They are chomping at the bit to help you get through any processes when it comes to safeguarding. And then just to clarify for youth football, I think Andy's just chucked it in the chat as well. We do have an article on our knowledge base But for youth football, the play welfare course is not required, but the Safeguarding Children course is, which is a one-time paid course and then a free renewal every 2 years thereafterwards. So that is in there as well. And I think the last question, actually, I'll give you two. Claire, I'm going to come back to you for, if you can, maybe a mini demo. But I'll do Emma's first and I'll come to Vicky's question. So Emma's question was around the welfare officer now needs to play welfare course. So for adult, again, if you've got adult teams in your club, the club welfare officer adult teams in brackets does require to have the play welfare course to initiate your affiliation for the first time. Your key officials have to be compliant before any team can affiliate. So if you've got adult provision in your club, you will have to have your club welfare officer adult teams to have the play welfare course. They were sent this on the 4th of October, on the 20-something of April, and then also we did it on the 7th of June as well. So hopefully they should know that that's the case. We've gone directly to them. But any problems, do just speak to your county affair. They'll be able to help you on that one. But Claire, can you quickly demo how you can get the link for parents to register, or even prospective players to register? So that URL where you can just post it into a chat or post it into, I don't know, on your social media and say, you click on this URL, it takes you into that player flow. Hopefully I've not caught you completely off guard here, you've not shut everything down. But that would be wonderful if you can show that, how you copy that link.
Yeah, sure. So in the players, from the all players tab, if you just go and add a player and you've got your invite players link here, you can either go in and put the players, or if the player's under 16, it's going to be the parent or carer's email address in there, so you can invite them that way. If that player's under the age of 16, just click invite, or you can copy the club invite link and send that to the parent for them to sign up within the players portal. Is that what you were after, Sam?
Absolutely, yes. And also that club invite link on the left hand side where you can just put that on. I've seen a few clubs do it on Twitter now, or X as it is now.
Yeah.
But basically, if you put that on your site, people can click on that link, and then either it's the parent putting their details and the kids' details, or if it's a current player for adult football, they can go and do that as well. But perfect, Claire, thank you so much for that.
There is a question that came in. If you send out an open link, obviously any number of players can go and attach themselves to your club, but obviously you as the club have the final say on whether you want to register those children, put them in a team, etc.
Yeah, good shout. Thank you, Claire. I'm going to steal the screen back off you because I'm just conscious of time. So we haven't got long left. We've just got literally a couple of minutes. So just looking at what's going to come in 24-25, just so you can know what's due to land on your landscape. The big thing for us is discipline. We know that that's a major pain point for clubs, for leagues, for referees, and that's all coming across to the England football portals, and more specifically for you people on the call is the club portal. The discipline's coming along to there. So payments, you won't have to accept them anymore. It'll just automatically do it for you. Wherever we can save you time and effort, the system will do the heavy lifting for you. There's also some really exciting functionality linking, and it's only exciting for people like me who are a bit geeky when it comes to technology, but being able to pull your suspension matches from full time and automatically plug them into your club portal so that you don't have to create matches for suspensions. And even better is once one of those games is postponed on full time, maybe by your league due to the weather, especially if you live anywhere close to me in the northwest where we just seem to live in constant rain and misery, the system will automatically update those suspension matches. And the other one to call out here is match day. For those who aren't in match day, it's our app. It links straight into full time. There's been a lot of work gone in behind the scenes for match day to make sure it's more reliable than ever. But basically, where you had to log into full time in the past, you can now do it in match day. It is completely now reliable. So I know in the past it's had its issues. That was due to some really poor database design, if we are completely honest. It's now been redesigned. We've tested it throughout this whole season. It's working perfectly fine. and we are going to add some user interface enhancements going forwards to make more of those processes easier than ever and quicker than ever to submit your match returns. The final one that's being developed across the next season is DBS in its entirety, and we're going to go away from having to have a physical verification meeting with a physical person or an actual human, and we will go to a place using First Advantages, who's our DBS provider. We use their technology to do what's called self-verification. So at the moment, it takes about 2 weeks to go through a DBS from your submission verification to then showing your fan. From the testing we've done so far, it would tend to be within about 48 hours from start to finish. So if we're saving 2 weeks per check, it's a hell of an effort. Hopefully a hell of a time saving for everybody involved. So really exciting stuff coming through. Mainly exciting because it saves you time and effort going forwards. But I'm now going to pass over to John, who's just going to mention a couple of the support channels that you can access when it comes to our grassroots platforms.
Yes, thanks, Sam. So there's been a couple of issues and questions posted in the chat. If you've still got those issues or questions, you can submit them to us by going to grassrootstechnology.thefa.com. I'll just post the link into the chat as well. There's self-help guides on there and videos and demonstrations. And then if you still need to contact us, there's a submit ticket option. You can also catch the recording on the YouTube channel, which is Grassroots Tech Team, and also on X at FAGR Tech.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much, Jono. Very helpful. And yeah, if you need any more questions, please do come back to us via that link that John just posted, and that you do have the option to ask or raise a ticket with us, and we'll come back to you as quickly as we possibly can. But just slightly over time, but not too much. My final thing basically is to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you to John, to Claire, to Anisha, and to Jatin in the chat, who've been helping tonight make this call run as smoothly as possible. So thank you to you guys. Also, thanks to everyone for joining. We hope you found it useful. The recording, as John just mentioned, will be available on our YouTube channel by tomorrow. The link will be available. I also believe that via Teams and the invite you've got, the recording should be on there as well. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and let's hope for a very successful summer of football coming home in the men's game. So thank you so much, and we shall speak to you all very soon. Goodbye.